Yeah, so I mean, looking at the Tempest, you know, if you're familiar with the original trilogy, there was a pretty big shoes to fill with the Normandy. So I think where we came, we're touching it.
Yeah.
As you know, if you played the game before, there was the galaxy map. So a big thing for us was the whole experience of space, because this is a science fiction game in space. With that, you know, when we were looking at it, we wanted to keep elements that we were familiar with the galaxy map, but push it further. Looking at the Frostbite engine and where we were, we really wanted to create this visual, stunning experience. It's immersive. You know, as you can see, when you go into it, it's not necessarily the in-game UI. You would walk up into the middle of the ship and just look at the UI and fly a ship around. We are at the front of the ship on the bridge, and we are interacting with space. It's a lot more engaging. Probably one of the best parts we've got is as you fly around the galaxy, when you go to different locations, you'll get the experience of actually moving through the system. You'll be passing asteroid fields, different planets, sailing through moons.
One of the things we tried to focus on the art side was actually making space feel as volumetric and dense as possible without it just seeming like a skybox. So as you fly through space, you'll see there's a lot of nebula in space, so you can see out into external space as possible. Previously, with the Normandy, we intentionally didn't have any windows because we didn't have the same kind of technology that we have in Frostbite. So a lot of those windows were closed off or very minimal, so you just kind of see some shimmer outside of that window. But for our game, because we are focused a lot more on exploration, we wanted to open that up as much as possible. So we tried to present, you know, windows along the whole front of the cockpit of the Tempest, at the back, you know, in your Pathfinder's quarters, and that actually applied to the characters as well in Andromeda. You know, a lot of our helmets now have the sense of an open visor, which is meant to be kind of an exploration visor rather than how we had it previously in the trilogy, where they're all combat visors, very metallic and closed in.
So by this point in the game, you've done a lot of cool stuff with Liam. You and him are buds. You know, you've explored the galaxy a little bit together, and you've kind of built up some trust and a good relationship with him. So at a certain point in time, he comes to you, and as a good squad mate does, needs your help. So that sets up this mission roughly, and then you have to obviously travel to this area, this debris field, which then kicks it off.
And Liam has a plan. You'll hear about the plan as you play the level, and how well that plan goes.
Liam is sort of your colonial specialist.
All right,
He's
set to go.
he helps you found
Somewhere. This is on me. I'll take care of it. Any sign of the pirates who took my contact?
There's too much background radiation. Could be anything hiding out there. All that debris in orbit.
That tracks. Heard they were scavengers. I'd hoped Bradley or some of our colonists would follow. Join in.
We'll make do with what we've got. What's the plan?
Somewhere out there is a ship full of pirates. They might have our specs.
Thanks to you.
Yes, thanks to me. So we can't go in hot. I say we play to their scavenger routes with that debris. I'll explain in the airlock. We've wasted enough time. Let's hit the go button, shoot pirates, and save people. We've got this.
Kathleen?
Don't get cocky, Ian.
Okay.
So at this point, if you don't want to have
got is a
spoilers,
chance.
you have to close your eyes for the next 20 minutes.
Here's two.
We play this right, they'll deliver us just where we need to go. I have a plan.
One of the things we were also playing up quite a bit, as you saw, was just the interplay between the characters in your crew and in the squad.
Come on. Hiding in derelict cargo to get scavenged. Sure, we don't know what we're up against. Neither do they. Trojan horse simple.
The Greeks didn't need to worry if Troy had air.
There's it. Whoa. This isn't right.
Liam, you said to expect pirates. This is a catch ship. A big one.
Change of plan? Okay, it's a catch ship. But scavenging isn't their MO.
Alarms, Liam.
Doesn't change why we're here. Find Varane and get out. Somehow.
This is already a good example of how the spaces are more open.
We have stores. We have stores.
So Ian, what are you playing as right now? What's your profile set as?
I'm actually set as an adept right now, a mix of biotic abilities. You're totally gonna make me talk while I'm trying to. Totally not cool, man. I also have a Sentinel build set up on a different favorite.
Cover! Oh. Cover! Oh.
Seriously?
I will never do that again.
Our lead designer.
Wow.
I'm never going to lift this one down.
Yeah.
Why'd you make this?
All right,
so hard?
part 2. Someone else talk about the profiles.
Yeah.
So can we have the art director play, please?
Yeah. No, you don't want that. I'll be like looking at the ceiling the whole time.
We have stores. We have stores.
Just going back to Fabrice's note, actually, about the size of some of the spacing on the Ket ship. It was interesting. That was one of our challenges early on when we decided to introduce jump as one of our main. Please, Ian. Did you do that just to cut me off?
No. We,
So,
I think somebody pranked him and put it in hardcore.
No.
Did you put it in Infinity?
I can't even type with someone looking over my shoulder. I can't imagine what it's
As you can
like.
see, this is a cover-based shooter.
We have stores. We have stores.
Good job, Cora. She's got it back.
Yeah, Coral take care of it.
Definitely no
Just all watch and give him good thoughts.
Yeah.
Shut them down.
Vibes.
One of the interesting things about him dying 3 times though, is that you'll see that you can approach each combat very differently because we have procedural cover, and because you have all the locomotion changes with the jump and the boost jets.
Nice.
Using the environment to your advantage is one of the keys to actually succeeding.
And what you just saw the bees do is actually a very good example of how we use the verticality in the space, which is also brand new with the boost, because obviously if you can jump, we want to make sure that all the enemies and squad, they can jump too, and they will track you in all those spaces. So the spaces are not only more open and bigger, but you add an entire layer of verticality to them.
Yeah. It was a big challenge early on when we decided to go that way because traditionally level design and level art get away with a lot of concessions, not having to build. If you don't have jump, you don't have to build, the tops of buildings, the tops of structures, and you could lose some detail in the upper areas of the levels. When you introduce jump, it's far more important to make sure every last piece of detail is of the same quality, on the upper areas. Make sure everything's capped off because the player could theoretically get anywhere in this level. And then again, earlier, one of the things we found the level artists and designers doing was actually building huge open arenas with nothing inside to actually manipulate or jump around. So that was one of the learning lessons, that despite having jump, you could create these giant open warehouses, but it's important to still fill them up with things that don't, so it doesn't look just like a big empty warehouse, essentially.
And you'll notice also right away how we're not anymore stop and go cover-based shooter. You don't plan to move forward from cover to cover. It's actually a way more organic use of the space.
You also notice quite a difference between the combat camera and the exploration camera, and we did that specifically because a lot of times you're exploring in open spaces, and we want to sort of give you a wider field of view so you could actually take it in, but also judge how you're going to explore in an area.
For the last time, report. We just fixed those base seals. If you idiots blew them, I'll have your skins. Everything's under control. Just a simple weapon like this.
I've heard that somewhere before.
Stoked. This ship is property of Talonwing. Now you're property too, just like the rest. I don't let
Well, that wasn't going anywhere useful. Shoot pirates, rescue contact?
She's here. Somewhere. Think they've salvaged this thing?
They're not Ket. Sam, do you have us?
Not precisely, Pathfinder. Debris and radiation are still disrupting scans.
So where to?
Find Varane and fast. This way. Got that. pilot at his wing. Supposed to be small time.
The ship says different.
Lucky find?
They're hostiles.
Oh, that's my favorite. I love that.
So you saw Ian just did a couple biotic combos there. So obviously that's still in the game.
That's fun. I bet you jump, do a pound for melee damage. It feels so good.
One of the things you'll hear a lot too is that we've really doubled down on the squad manager, both in combat and just in the missions as well. I was telling someone earlier, we have, compared to Mass Effect 3, for those of you familiar, we had about 670 unique characters, I think, in Mass Effect 3. We've got over 1,200 in Mass Effect Andromeda. And if you look at just the line count, it's like putting Mass Effect 2 and 3 together. So we didn't just go and make, big...
I will not be ignored.
Such an awesome.
Shit!
I really hate this plan, Liam.
Right now? Me too.
Guarded!
Get on the junctions. Go.
These space sequences. Actually, I'll wait till there.
Oogie! You have timing!
We would have come in sooner, but we didn't know how we could help. Settlers aren't soldiers, but a wreck of a ship with bad shielding? We've got engineers, son. Oh, power surge. This beast does not like being prodded.
Is the artificial plan? Shit, everything's shifting!
Liam, Pathfinder, are you okay?
So,
We're here, but things have gone a little sideways.
Get to engineering.
so those space sequences were a lot of fun to work on. Ken Thane, our cinematic director, isn't here right now, but I worked with him specifically on those exterior sequences with him and his team. And the fun thing about those was they were done like in a pre-rendered type way, a more traditional kind of cut scene type way, which allows you to have a little bit more control over the lighting, over
Exploration, again, one of the themes of the game. We wanted you to feel like you could explore any power, any skill set, and not be restricted by a choice you'd made at the beginning of the game, but then also reward you for those choices that you make as you go, and that's where the profiles came in.
I thought this was a minor group of pirates.
A ship like this would really bring in recruits.
Idiot. Fight import. Report.
Get framework and guard patch job.
40% functional at best. Partially stripped.
Parted out, then dumped. A junker.
It's a good example of our use of space again, outside the level. How did you guys approach, Kathleen, writing the, for a new character, for new protagonists especially, our writers, versus writing for Shepard?
The thing about Shepard was that because Shepard evolved over 3 games, it was, by the end you could hear Jennifer Hale or Mark Meir in your head as you were writing them. And so it was a challenge to start with someone fresh and new. I mean, it's always exciting to start with a blank page, but it is a bit of a challenge as well. But because of the, some of the lighter tones we were going with in the game, we had the freedom to make them a bit more of a, of a wise ass at times, or, not just the super soldier that Shepard is.
And that actually, translates over for those of you who haven't been following. The Paragon Renegade system, we don't use that anymore. That was very much something that was felt like it was a part of Shepard.
One of our big challenges on the art team for developing Andromeda was coming up with the different races and palettes that we use to build out those races. And a lot of work goes into building that out, not just in terms of...
I actually want you to search and find it. So we actually have sort of a hot-cold mechanic for locating things that are in a certain radius, but you're not sure are there.
Can you pull up the scanner there quick, Ian? So as part of those tools, you obviously have the scanner. We've talked about this a little bit before, but it allows you to kind of scan the environment for new and interesting things. And it also is directly built into our research and development mechanic. So if you see those 3 icons at the bottom, they represent different kinds of research data. One from the Milky Way, one from Helios, and one from the unknown remnant at this point. And so you can go through the world and scan different things to kind of gather research information on the various types, and then you can use those later to craft things.
And when we talk about exploration, that's a good reminder that it's not only about the physical exploration or the exploration of territories. We're talking about cultural exploration and discovery on an element of material and cultures. And Joel talked about linguistic, the idea of the alphabet. And the scanner is one of the tools that make the bridge between the gameplay and that narrative context that you want to discover a number of things.
Still here. We'll find you a route to those captives.
It's the cargo bay.
Again? What do you mean you can't see them? Well, get ready everywhere!
Real eager to meet that person.
Pathfinder, that door up there. It was blocked before.
How about it, Bradley?
Negative. You'll have to scan for something manual.
Another good example of the wide open spaces that we're able to create. I think Frostbite does this really well. These beautiful environments.
Maybe we can reach the door.
But there's also a little bit more dynamism in some of these, where we'll actually, as you can see, the level shifting, and once Ian gets up there and solves this puzzle, the level itself will change again.
Still on their cameras. Callet has filled the hall past that door.
And the captives?
Past them.
Whatever it takes.
Door and crane. Here they come.
So Joel, when you guys were, planning to do something that does PBR, physically based rendering, obviously it lights beautifully. What were some of the challenges and things that you guys were looking at?
So yeah, PBR is a very interesting technology. A lot of games are physically based rendering. And we use a whole bunch of different acronyms for all of our cool features and tech. But I think it's a piece of technology that a lot of new games are going to be using and taking advantage of. But it does force the artist to think about their assets in a very different way. Traditionally an artist would, they would build a model, and then when
We're not turning back anyway.
We're getting real lucky.
Look, some things you just have to count on. Skill, purpose, allies. You have them all in spades.
And if it goes wrong?
It already did. Still better than day one on Helios.
They're bunkered in the next room, Pathfinder. Sniper, maybe 2, and I think cages?
Thanks for the lookout.
Have to take out that sniper!
More pets, let's move! Focus on the pirates. We'll get the door.
At least one more somewhere.
Doors open, Pathfinder.
That was another interesting challenge for the art team, specifically VFX. Because our combat features so many different powers and biotics, we found early on that